There are stories that don't need to be spoken, yet they silently etch themselves deep into the heart. A mature and composed man chose to hide his feelings when it came to love. An unspoken love, a silent longing that no one knew about. His mother returned to the country after years of being away. When she heard from her daughter, that had once been saved from an accident by a woman named Tu Tian, she froze for a moment. But what surprised her even more was the look in whose eyes as she continued. "Mum, do you know, loves Tu Tian deeply, but he never dares to say it." As a mother, she understood her son right away. She knew what a silent heart felt like, what an unspoken feeling meant, and she made a decision she could not let her son miss out on someone so precious. She took Tu to Tian's farm, not just to meet the woman, but to see for herself the kind of person she was. A woman who had saved her son. A woman her son loved, but never once confessed to. On the way to the farm, she spoke to him gently. "Some things, if you don't take hold of them yourself, you will lose them forever. I don't want you to live with regret." Remained silent. Inside him, emotions swirled: confusion, gratitude toward his mother, and perhaps a faint glimmer of hope. That trip was more than just a simple visit. It was a chance to look into his own heart. A moment for a mother to help her son break free from his fears, and perhaps an opportunity for a love that had yet to bloom to finally take root. Some love stories don't need many words, only a little courage. And sometimes that love needs a helping hand, the hand of a mother who only wants her child to be happy. Because happiness sometimes takes just one step forward. Tu Tian's farm was nestled in a peaceful countryside, surrounded by lush vegetable gardens, a spacious fish pond, and flocks of chickens and ducks leisurely foraging beneath the trees. As S' mother stepped into the farm's courtyard, she slowly took in her surroundings, her expression gradually softening. At her age, she didn't wish for much, just a tranquil place like this to enjoy her later years in peace. She turned to and said in a low voice, "This place is truly beautiful, isn't it? Vegetables, fish, fresh air. Anyone living here must have a peaceful life." Remained silent, feeling a bit uneasy. He knew his mother well. She was a thoughtful woman who never did anything without a clear purpose. As they stepped inside, they saw Tu Tian sitting by the fire. The flickering flames cast a warm glow on her gentle yet slightly contemplative face. When she noticed an unfamiliar woman, she looked up. Recognizing, she stood up, walked over, and greeted them with a polite smile. "You have a guest today," nodded slightly and glanced at his mother. Before he could introduce her, his mother spoke first, her tone gentle but firm. "You must be Tu Tian, right? I am his mother. I just returned from overseas." Tu Tian immediately greeted her with respect. "Yes, hello ma'am, has mentioned you from time to time. It's truly an honor to meet you today." S' mother nodded in approval, already forming a favorable impression of Tu Tian, a well-mannered young woman living in such a peaceful place, far from the noise and chaos of the outside world. This was something she deeply appreciated. She sat down, quietly observing Tu Tian. Every gesture, every glance of the young woman reflected sincerity. Throughout their conversation, she asked about Tu Tian's age, her work, and her daily life. "How old are you this year?" "I'm 28, ma'am." "Do you manage all the farm work by yourself? No one helps you?" "I do have a few helpers, but I handle most of the work myself. Farming isn't as difficult as people think. Once you get used to it, it becomes quite enjoyable." S' mother nodded, occasionally glancing at her son. Then, she asked more directly, "Do you plan to stay here permanently, or do you have other plans?" Tu Tian answered honestly, "I've grown accustomed to life here. I don't really think about moving anywhere else. To me, this place is home." That answer pleased her. She thought to herself, if one day were to marry this girl, there would be little to worry about. A woman who is independent, hardworking, and not lost in unrealistic dreams would surely make a good wife. She looked at Tu Tian, her gaze now warmer, and spoke in a soft yet meaningful tone. No matter how strong a woman is, she still needs someone to rely on. Especially as we grow older, we can't stay alone forever, don't you think? Tu Tian only smiled faintly and said nothing. She had no idea that S mother was already considering her as a potential wife for her son. And S mother had no idea that Tu Tian's heart had long belonged to someone else, someone named Jack. Spoke softly. I've had meals here a few times, Mum. Tu Tian's cooking is delicious, simple but full of flavor. Hearing this, S mother felt even more pleased. She smiled warmly, her gaze toward Tu Tian growing even fonder. Is that so? Anyone lucky enough to marry you will truly be blessed. Tu Tian's cheeks flushed slightly. She lowered her head with a small, hesitant smile, unsure of how to respond. It seemed she was beginning to catch the underlying meaning in S mother's words. Not hiding her intentions any longer, the older woman continued gently. Whenever you have some free time, come visit me at home, okay? We always welcome guests, especially someone as dear to as you. I'd love for our families to grow closer. Tu Tian felt uneasy. She didn't want to outright refuse and risk hurting S mother's feelings, but she also didn't know how to gracefully escape the situation. After a moment of hesitation, she forced a polite smile and said, "Yes, I'll visit when I get the chance, ma'am." Hearing this, S mother beamed with satisfaction. To her, that answer meant that Tian wasn't opposed to the idea of becoming more connected to their family. As their conversation continued, the sun began to set. It was time for and his mother to leave. Before they departed, she took Tu Tian's hand, her eyes filled with warmth. Meeting you today made me very happy. Take care of yourself, dear. I hope to see you again soon at our home. Tu Tian could only offer a faint smile as she watched them walk away. Once their figures disappeared into the distance, she turned back toward the fire, a heavy weight settling in her chest. She knew she needed to make things clear to S mother that she and were not romantically involved. But how could she explain it without disappointing the woman? Tu Tian sighed, staring into the flickering flames. A misunderstanding was beginning to take root, and she had yet to find a way to put it out. After they had walked some distance from the farm, S mother suddenly stopped. She turned to her son, her eyes filled with hope. She is a wonderful girl, I truly approve. Remained silent, a deep sense of unease stirring within him. He could see that his mother had genuinely taken a liking to Tien and wanted him to pursue her. She took his hand firmly, her voice serious. You need to make an effort to be with Tu Tian. A capable and kind-hearted woman like her is rare. I can see that you two are a perfect match. Don't hesitate and let this chance slip away. Bit his lip, wanting to tell his mother the truth, that Tu Tian's heart already belonged to Jack. But he hesitated. He was afraid of disappointing her, afraid of seeing the hope in her eyes fade. In the end, he could only nod vaguely. Yes, I understand. His hesitation, combined with Tu Tian's lack of a clear response, only reinforced his mother's belief that they were meant to be together. And with that belief, she became even more determined to bring them closer. A misunderstanding was growing, and none of them knew what complications it would bring in the future. Tu Tian sat by the firewood stove, the flickering flames casting a contemplative glow on her face. But at this moment, her worries were not about S mother, they were about Jack. She knew Jack was preparing to launch a new company. He had ambition, courage, and business acumen that few could match. Yet, no matter how strong he was, the early days of entrepreneurship were never easy. Right now, he was struggling with a lack of capital, an inevitable challenge for any business person. As Jack S., she should be able to help him somehow, to share this burden with him. But reality was far from simple. Her entire livelihood, her work, her life, everything was tied to this farm. It was a place of steady effort, of patient nurturing, not one of abundant cash flow or large investments. She was not a weak woman, But at this moment, she felt powerless. She could not support Jack financially, nor could she offer him the kind of profound business advice he needed. All she could do was quietly stand by him, listen to him speak of his plans and struggles, and sometimes simply hold his hand tightly to let him know she was there. Tu Tian sighed, her gaze fixed on the flames before her. Her love for Jack had never wavered, but loving a man with great aspirations, a man who longed to reach beyond, also meant accepting moments like this when she could do nothing but wait. Others might see Jack as strong and capable, believing he would overcome everything on his own. But she knew better than anyone Jack carried pressures, moments of exhaustion he never let anyone see. The strongest men were often the loneliest, for they refused to lean on others, refused to show their vulnerabilities. And that realization only deepened her heartache. A woman in love does not only wish to be loved, she wishes to share, to give. But right now, the only thing she could offer Jack was her understanding. And yet, she knew all too well understanding alone could never replace what he truly needed. She closed her eyes, listening to the crackling sound of burning wood, feeling the quiet worry smoldering within her heart. Her love for Jack had never changed. But was love alone enough to soothe her own soul when she could do nothing for the man she loved? A silent question drifted into the night unanswered.